Describe how straight that ball was hit back. It actually went through Nat Siver's legs at the non-strikers. She stood on the wicket. Absolutely no chance of the South African fielders catching up with that as it races to the boundary.
Bosch bowls full, dug out by Alice Davison-Richards into the offside, and that completes, or not completes, the over. One ball to come again. It's catching us out a lot in this evening session. It's interesting though just to see how far Bosch is pushing this ball up. They definitely want Davison-Richards to be playing the drive with that massive gap on the offside. They're teasing her into a false shot. Those two slips ready in place as Bosch bowls, and this is firmly defended by Davison-Richards into the offside, and that completes the over. First over of the new ball, and Marizine Kapp takes off her hat to take the other over.
Kapp's going to be key here for South Africa. She's had a busy couple of days, Kapp. She'll no doubt be feeling, well, she'll have heavy legs and feeling slightly tired.
Did you ever have ice baths when you played? Is this a bad memory? Can I bring it up?
They are a thing. I saw Kate Cross yesterday, just after play. She did the press conference after her forfeit, and she said, right, I've got to go, I've got to get in the ice bath. And immediately I thought, I can't do that. The only time I ever got in the ice bath was when we were in India or Sri Lanka and you needed to cool down. But you won't get me in an ice bath in England, not a chance.
Rather a hot tub.
I'd love that.
That sounds lovely. A few overs in the field all day, and you get presented with an ice bath or a hot tub. I think we know which most players would be going for. So it will be Kapp at the pavilion end, bowling to Siver, who's on 93. She's just a few shots away from what could be, I won't say the words, as Kapp's in, full outside the off stump, left alone by Siver. And this is her highest test score to date.
Although Kapp's not picked up any wickets today, she's created a lot of pressure. She bowled 12 overs for just 18 runs. She's had a drop catch in the slips by Sune Elise. It was Nat Siver as well, I think.
Yes, dropped on 17. She was on 17, I think. As Kapp begins her run in, and she plays at that one. Siver just lured into that false shot. She withdrew her bat at the last minute, but doesn't seem too phased by it. Just goes down the wicket and gives it a few prods. Always good to calm your nerves. Not sure what it's meant to do. Just makes you look good.
Yeah, it does make you look good.
It's always fun to do that.
Phil, was it Heather Knight that was dropped off Kapp?
Yeah, off Kapp, yeah. And Siver was dropped at a gully by Lee.
Yes.
A difficult chance, but still a chance for South Africa. Kapp bowls full, and a false drive from Siver. This time recognising it's probably not the shot to be playing when Marizine Kapp's got the new ball in hand, and the bowler grins knowing that she's beaten Nat Siver in that battle.
Yeah, Nat Siver just going for that cover drive, the ball way outside the off stump. A bit of fresh air, luckily for Nat Siver there, that she didn't get anything on it. So we've got 3 slips and a gully waiting.
As Kapp past the umpire, full driven to mid-off. No run taken. She's definitely looking to get these runs out of the way. She doesn't much showing any signs of the nervous 90s. She's more showing that I want to hit 2 4s.
That would be nice.
It would be. She's keen on that front foot. Kapp's pitching it up there with those slips in play. A few cold hands out there in the field, but ready in the cordon as Kapp bowls, and defending Siver into the offside. It's been a good over so far from Kapp, who's maintained her speeds across the day as well, just hitting that 68 miles per hour mark pretty consistently across the day.
Yeah, she does that incredibly well. Does Kapp, one of the best all-rounders in the world. Nat Siver, the best all-rounder in the world. So we've got the battle of the all-rounders.
2 very tired individuals as Kapp comes in for that final ball of the over. It's dropped into the offside by Siver, and England 250 for 5, trailing by just 34, and they'll hope that they can sneak past South Africa's total by the end of the day. 82 overs bowled today. And we were speaking at the afternoon, is it the afternoon session, that maybe South Africa was slightly on top. Do you think England's edging past them now?
Yeah, I think England are in a strong position now. It was South Africa's day up until tea, but these two have batted well to build on that partnership that they created. They absorbed that pressure just before tea. It was quite a boring passage of play. No run after no run. I kind of thought, get on with it a little bit. But they've done the right thing here, of England.
As Bosch continues from the river end past the umpire, and this is full, chipped by Davis and Richards to the boundary. Runs away for 4 runs. A good effort from the fielder out there, the captain Lees. But it was over-pitched, and actually Davis and Richards just slammed her bat down on that. That was pure power.
It was a full delivery, too full, and Davidson Richards stood still and tried to play this dab into the offside, and it comes straight out the middle of the bat and shoots past extra cover. It's a brilliant cricket shot.
Bosch runs in under these dark clouds, and that's driven down almost through her legs by Davison Richards. It was another strong drive, and Bosch just managed to get her hands down to the ball. Otherwise that would have been racing away to the boundary. But a good dot ball. England 254 for 5.
Well, with the new ball, the captain Sune Elise has found herself back at first slip. So interesting that she came out of the slips and then gone back into slip.
Giving herself a break, maybe. As Bosch bowling to Davison Richards, who's tickled that into the onside, and no run taken.
This partnership now worth 133, which makes it England's best ever 6th wicket partnership in Test cricket.
Oh,
love a record.
Yes, that's one record ticked off. We've seen a lot of records broken in Test cricket over the last 2 weeks.
Too many to count, I think. I think every week we've been hearing the largest ever run chase, and then it gets beaten 2 days later. As Bosch into Davison Richards. That's a leg stump line flicked away. They're looking to come back for 2 runs at least. It was hit hard by Davison Richards out to the boundary. But they are playing on the full boundary here at Taunton, which is something I wanted to ask you about as the score moves on to 256 for 5. Is this something you think we should see more often, especially at these smaller grounds? Because it's enabled quite a few 2s and 3s, and often there's that danger of games becoming 4 or 1 games. As Bosch in, that's outside the off stump, slapped away to the boundary. Another 4 to Davison Richards, moving her score on to 67 not out now. She smiles to her partner. England 260 for 5, trailing by 24.
You don't want to bowl there. Short, wide, outside the off stump, no cover in play. It's a free hit for Davidson Richards, who takes full advantage. And you're talking about the boundaries. To be completely honest, I hadn't even noticed. I guess because you're still getting value for your shots. Once you've beaten that infield, the ball has quite often raced away for 4 anyway. Especially in Test cricket, I don't see why we can't play on larger boundaries.
As Bosch looking for a reply, bowls a straighter delivery, which is dropped down by the toes of Davison Richards. And that completes the over. 260 for 5 England. A few more thoughts on why bigger boundaries are maybe better for the women's game, and after that, it's Stephen.
Yeah, I was just saying I hadn't noticed, and I think because this ground is quite a small ground anyway, when we do play white ball cricket here, the boundaries don't get brought in an awful lot anyway. But you really do get value for your shots here, and the ball has been racing to the boundary once that infield has been beaten. So that I am in favour, in Test cricket, of a larger boundary.
It's lovely to see you.
And you, first time.
It is. You're looking very smart.
Thank you. I think we're the only 2 that got the smart memo today.
Well, I was going to ask you, this long camel coat looks a bit like Derek Trotter's.
Yeah? Are you a fan or not?
I like it.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that then.
Yeah. England are 260 for 5. They're taking
Tell
drinks
you what,
at
I've had
Taunton.
wardrobe. I don't even know what to say. You've taken the mick out of my wardrobe every day so
You've
far.
entertained me.
Okay.
But you look great.
See what I wear tomorrow.
I was about to say, England are 260 for 5 at drinks. in the final session of the second day of the women's test at Taunton. Phil Long?
21 overs in that half session up until drinks. Since tea, England have scored 84, which is exactly 4 and over.
Why was Sune Lee's bowling for so long? I understand they were trying to get to the second new ball, but it gifted England so many runs. What were Lee's figures, Phil?
10 overs for 53.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why she bowled herself anyway, to be completely honest. She's been struggling with the bowling and actually released so much pressure that South Africa had built on these two. There was a lot of dots before tea, and they've allowed England to tick away at 4 and over, capitalising on the captain, Sune Lees. And now, it's a very evenly poised game. Was South Africa's up until tea. England have climbed back. England are winning this session so far. But if South Africa can try and get a wicket with this new ball, it opens it right up.
England replying to South Africa's 284. They started their second innings today after the last South Africa wicket fell from the final ball last night. Wickets to fall, Beaumont for 28. She was LBW to Annika Bosch. Then Emma Lamb just didn't read a little off-cutter from Bosch. She was bowled through the gate for 38, 74 for 2. Heather Knight, a real calamitous run out. First ball after lunch. It was Nat Siver really who called her through. Knight, it wasn't that she was slow to respond, she was just slow. That was 86 for 3. Sophia Dunkley made 18. She played a loose drive at Bosch and was caught in the slips by Andre Steyn for 18. Then Amy Jones bowled by Balaba for a duck. That was 121 for 5. England in all sorts of trouble until Siver and Davidson Richards came together for this partnership, which is now worth 139. Are you telling me that you're leaving?
I am. So we didn't actually have any time on.
Is it because I took the mick out of your coat?
Yes, right. But before I go, I want a word on what Georgia Elwis's jacket's like, because I'm just saying, you can't take the mick out of my coat and not that one.
Well, you're going to have to put it on then. You're going to have to put it on. If you're going to come and commentate in your coat.
While they squabble over coats, let me tell you that Nat Siver, you just mentioned, is now 93. She's followed up her highest ODI score, which she scored in the World Cup final, 148 not out, with her highest test score so far. She's 93 not out today.
Yeah, it might be that Nat Siver thought that the best way to make amends for that Heather Knight run out was to stay out in the middle. And if you want to see for yourself exactly what went on with that run out, head to the BBC Sport website and app. You'll be able to see the video clip of it and all the highlights of this game on the iPlayer from 10 o'clock tonight. I don't want to ask this question, Phil, but I feel like it needs to be documented.
Is it the H word?
On debut. Hundreds on debut, England women in Test cricket. Let's just leave that hanging for a little while. Hello, Georgia.
Hello.
I like your jacket.
What's wrong with it? It's here, look.
I would describe that as like, you know, in the American films, we say, he gave me his jacket, gave me his, he's a bit of a jock or whatever, cap with a new over outside the off stump to Siver, who punches up towards mid-off.
Yeah, it's
260 for 5.
Sorry, it's a college varsity jacket.
That's it. That's a much better description than I can come up with.
They're popular now, back in fashion.
But I saw that there's a Southern Vipers jacket knocking around as well.
Oh yeah, that was my coat yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
Needed that today. It's a bit colder today.
It's cold. It's been grey and blustery, and the floodlights have been on for most of the day at Taunton. That was what really sparked South Africa's revival this morning. Here comes Cap with the second new ball outside the off stump, well wide, left alone by Siver, through to the gloves of the bespectacled wicketkeeper Sonalo Jafta. Could you make sense of the South Africa tactics up to the second new ball?
Well, it was just like they were trying to give their seamers a rest, wasn't it? And
they've got 4 of them.
We've got 4 of them, but field was spread, 2 batters in. It was making batting look very easy, wasn't it? Loads of gaps out there to score runs.
Cap, black hair, bowls to Siver, who plays a picture-perfect forward defence into the covers. South Africa pinning their hopes really on this second new ball, which you would expect to play a few tricks under the lights. Getting late in the day, we were told there should have been a little bit of rain around by now. Mercifully, it's held off. 3 slips go down, Gully as well. Cap, number 7, bowls to Siver, who defends with a straight bat. Back to the bowler. Both of these England batters in their sleeveless sweaters You can see some of the South Africans. Who's that at second slip, dancing up and down, trying to keep warm?
Is that Stain?
I think it's Stain,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Been a long old day for them out there, hasn't it? 84 overs nearly.
Cap casts a shadow in 4 directions from the floodlights. Ball Siver, that's a beauty. It's left Siver, it's bounced through to the wicketkeeper. As a batter, you're just hoping that doesn't take the edge or the shoulder of the bat. Charlotte Edwards has just come into our box, opened the door, sat down in front of us. I mean, I can't really say anything to Charlotte Edwards, can I? Keep the door shut. I mean, basically the first lady of English cricket.
I love the way you're whispering as well,
I know.
just in case you can hear us through the glass.
Wouldn't want to get told off by Lottie, would you? Cap completes the over to Siver, well wide of the off stump. Siver leaves it alone. England are 260 for 5. They trail by only 24. Nat Siver 93 from 179 balls. She's had to show patience and determination and good judgment. Alice Davidson-Richards 67 from 127.
Back-to-back maidens with the new ball from yesterday's hero, Marizanne Kapp. Her figures so far: 14 overs, 8 maidens, no wicket for 18.
How are we doing with that 100 on debut, Phil?
Shall we mention it now, because it's quite a long way away, and
Yes,
then not
so we don't have to mention the
We've got
90s.
2 English players who've got hundreds on Test debut.
Yep.
Leslie Cook against India back in 1986, made 117, and we say Charlotte Edwards often turns up in the records. Enid Bakewell,
Of course.
113 versus Australia in Adelaide back in December 1968.
So none since 1986.
That's right.
Nadine de Klerk from the Botham stand end. Davidson-Richards just feeling for one outside the off stump that's left her. It's that little bit of movement that you expect from the second new ball. De Klerk, not quite as quick as Cap. She's got 2 slips and a gully, a point, a cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, long leg. She stops still at the end of her run. Red tinge in her hair. Shuffles her shoulders into Davidson-Richards, who drives. There's a bit of an optical illusion then, Georgia, for us right behind the batter. It almost looked like she'd taken an edge. The ball does actually end up at mid-off.
Yeah, I've thought a few times actually when I've been watching through this glass that the ball has gone in a different spot to where I originally thought. But a good start here from de Klerk. She's getting a little bit of shape, and that'll encourage her because she must have a tired body. She's into her 18th over.
I think she's bowled better than her figures of 0 for 50 suggest. Davidson-Richards defends this ball up towards mid-off.
Sorry, a 19th over. So, yeah, I agree with you. I would agree. I think she has bowled nicely without any real luck. As says Marizanne Kapp at the other end. Went down off Marizanne Kapp, didn't it, early on?
That was off Heather Knight when she was on 8. Didn't cost South Africa any more runs. De Klerk comes into Davidson-Richards. Lovely back foot punch to point for 4. That shot has been a feature of Alice Davidson-Richards' innings. She's normally played it off the spinners, getting deep in the crease. The back foot drive, one of the most satisfying strokes in the game. 264 for 5.
Yeah, and that's all these 2 batters need to do now. You can see out the good ones. They know a bad one's coming, and they've both spent so much time at the crease, reading the conditions really well and being able to put that bad ball away. It flew off the bat, didn't it?
Hard new ball. Will go quicker off the middle. De Klerk scurries in. Davidson-Richards opens up her body and defends from the crease into the leg side. She just gives a little knowing nod to Nat Siver. It's a wonderful story, really. Alice Davidson-Richards, out of international cricket for 4 years, played a handful of white ball games on one tour of India back in 2018. And I mean, not plucked from obscurity, that's not the right way to put it, but pulled back from the domestic game to do a specific job in this England team. 71 not out, she face up to de Klerk. Then that's a dreamy cover drive up towards the scoreboard and the temporary stand. And Davidson-Richards, she's peppered that offside fence, like we said before, with back foot punches. But when she needs to be coming out onto the front foot and playing the classical drive as well, she's got that in her locker. 268 for 5 at the end of the over, and Davidson-Richards now on to 75.
Yeah, and a real feature of the whole time she's batted has been that smile on her face. She's obviously enjoying herself out there. Like you said, her story is a really touching one, and she probably has the mindset now of she just wants to enjoy her cricket. I know she really enjoys playing back at the South East Stars, and it looks like that's the approach that she's taken, having come back into this England side.
Yeah, Davidson Richards scored 23 of the last 24 runs. Nat Siver 15 balls now without scoring a run.
When was the last time someone scored as many as 75 on debut for England? Phil? 3 slips for Cap to Siver. Gully goes down as well. Short ball outside the off stump. Siver's fetched it towards mid-wicket. There's a chase for Sekakune up towards the Ondante pavilion. Siver trots back for a couple. 270 for 5.
Yeah, very good timing to ask that. The only higher scores are those 200s. Sophia Dunkley made 74 not out in Bristol last summer on her debut. 74 not out from 127 balls with 9 fours.
So already it's the 3rd highest score by an England woman on Test debut.
Correct.
Cap leans forward as she runs in to Siver. That's kept a little bit low, actually, short ball, but Siver has paddled it round the corner with sweet timing for 4, and that will take her to 99. 274 for 5.
Yeah, as Phil mentioned, that 15 balls without a run, she was made to work really hard, tested her patience early on into the 90s, but now just that one run away. And Cap has bowled nicely here but without any reward, and she's just searching a little bit. 2 of the short balls. Nat Siver doesn't miss out on those.
Crowd are well aware of it. Siver's got a bat over her right shoulder, hair tied in a bun behind her helmet. On 99, waits for Cap. It's on the pads. Now she's got to go for the signal. There's confusion, but Siver's got to get there for 100. I think she does. Nat Siver made 100 in the World Cup final the last time she batted for England, and now she's made her maiden Test century. 100 not out at Taunton. She raises a bat and she has rescued England from the dangerous position they found themselves earlier on in South Africa. She gets a big hug from Alice Davidson Richards. She's got a huge smile on her face and she looks to the sky. 100 not out for Nat Siver. England 275 for 5.
And hasn't she played well? An innings of real maturity, the vice captain of this side. She's taken that responsibility on her shoulders. She's played so fantastically well.
I've seen pictures of Catherine Brunt as well, Nat's wife. She's out there, she's celebrating. Who's that she's getting a hug from?
Well, that's Piper Cleary there.
Great moment for Nat Siver, watched on by Catherine Brunt. The next ball, Cap beats. Just a poking Davidson Richards outside the off stump.
Yeah, that 182 balls with 14 fours.
All around the ground as well, those boundaries. A feature for me has been the drives through mid-off, and sometimes aerially down the ground off the spinners, but we've seen her play the pull shots and she's cut through the offside. Such a classy player, Nat Siver. Cap to Davidson Richards, shape. Away from the right-hander, just guided to point, straight to the field. The score remains 275 for 5, and in all that, England only trail by 9 now. And at 121 for 5, 163 behind, who'd have thought they'd find themselves in this position? And yet, record 6th wicket stand, Phil? Just for England or for England? Cap to Davidson Richards, punches towards cover, and then she stands on one leg and holds a bat in the air to say, nope, no run. End of the over. England 275 for 5.
Yeah, very quickly, it's actually the second largest 6-wicket partnership of all time in women's Test cricket. There was a big one, Jodie Fields and Rachel Haynes against England at Worcester back in 2009, which was 229, so there's a bit of a way to go for that one.
Keeping busy though, aren't you, in this Test, Phil, with the records?
Yeah, I love it, because you come into these games with the Test, because there's so few, there's not a lot, but once we get going, we're up and running.
It's just quietened down at Taunton after that applause, and I say that because it's that time of day when the school children have gone home. Gordon Hollins, the Somerset chief executive, he was keen to say they were enthusiastic, not rowdy, when I spoke to him at tea. De Klerk starts a new over to Siver, who shows the maker's name to the bowler as she defends. She's got a big smile on her face, as well she might, when you've got 100 not out to your name. What's she like, Georgia? No, I mean, doesn't feel like she's quite a quiet character, the yin to Catherine Brunch-Yang.
Yeah, she's quite quiet. She's very laid back. She's just a really genuinely nice person. Would do anything for you. Very supportive.
Clerk Bowles with a high action onto the pads of Sivert. Tickle down towards long leg for a single. 276 for 5. She comes from a background that saw her travel all over the world when she was younger. Born in Tokyo, lived in various places across Europe. Good footballer, good tennis player, good singer as well, I believe.
Good dancer, yeah. Annoyingly one of those people that seemingly is good at everything she tries. A real natural athlete. Great talent.
De Klerk rocks her shoulders, bowls to Davidson Richards, down the leg side. Jafter with those bright green wicket-keeping gloves skips across to take the ball. Davidson Richards got a very toothy grin on her face as she looks back towards Nat Sivert.
They just look like they're having a great time out there now, don't they?
As you would when you've put a partnership of 165 on the board. De Klerk is into Davidson Richards, full on the pads, turned with control towards the mid-wicket fielder, and there's no run.
Yeah, Nat, born in Tokyo, spent some of her childhood in Poland as well.
She learned to play cricket in the Netherlands. That might have been her first exposure to it.
Very well travelled. Lovely family as well.
Davidson Richards raises a bat as De Klerk bowls. No timing in the stroke up towards mid-on.
But yeah, really genuinely nice human is Nat. He's a very popular member of the dressing room, very funny. Very, very laid back. Really one of the last people to turn up to training, but works incredibly hard when she gets there.
It's like Davidson Richards just found a little bit of a battle with herself. She's taken some deep breaths. She's danced on the spot. De Klerk aborts her run up. Sometimes as a batter you can go through those periods where you feel like you've got to switch back on, and maybe that's when Nat Sivert's got to 100. Davidson Richards has relaxed, and she goes, no, it's not the time to relax, still a job to be done here. It's De Klerk bowls, full delivery. Davidson Richards drives back to the bowler, who flops forward in a follow through to do the fielding. End of the over. England are 276 for 5, Sivert 101, Davidson Richards 75. That means England trail by 8, and we're just seeing some of the shots that Nat Sivert has played, Georgia, and as we said, all round the wicket, pulls and cuts off the back foot, and lovely drives down the ground off the front foot.
Yeah, we know what a strong player she is off the back foot. She hits it so hard, generates so much power. Really broad shoulders, isn't she? But we are used to seeing her be aggressive. In this innings, she's had to work really hard. She'd have had to have a little word with herself after the little mix-up with Heather Knight, the ball after lunch. But she's really made up for it, hasn't she? She's putting a monumental shift for her team here.
It looks like she's taken a little blow in practice. She's got a little bit of a mark above her lip. Is that the seam mark?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I do think she took a ball to the face.
It's got darker now as Cap's bowling to Sivert, defends into the offside.
Yeah, the intel from Hartley was a little black eye as well.
Oh, really? Henry Moran was late for his commentary stint. Don't know where he's been. I suspect outside because he's got his jacket on. If he's been for something like a coffee or an ice cream or whatever, he clearly hasn't returned with anything for those working hard to cover his lateness. 2 slips for Cap, bowling to Sivert, who drives nicely straight to a fielder in the covers. So I'm going to move midway through the over, and maybe Henry, when he comes into this position, will tell us where he's been, why he's late, and you can interrogate him over that one, Georgia.
I've been buying you a present and I'm not going to give it to you anymore, Stefan. Hello there, Georgia.
Hello.
I've only been outside, watching on the game actually. Here comes Cap with the floodlights blazing as Sivert lets it fly past the off stump. What an innings it's been. All too wide, says umpire Harris, and 1 onto the total. England trail now by just 7.
Well, can't blame you. It's been quite a spectacle the last 20 minutes or so, hasn't it?
It's been lovely.
Very exciting. Lots of records being broken.
And England have been getting back into this game after an early wobble. Here comes Cap then. And bowls. It's defended by Siver. This new ball hasn't yet yielded quite what they were looking for, South Africa.
No, I haven't quite been as consistent as they would have liked. Marizanne Kapp has been the pick of their bowlers, but at the other end she's not had the assistance, not been able to build any sort of pressure. The runs have flowed.
Here comes Cap, running in, right arm over. It's played with a straight bat and good piece of running because there was a fielder in close proximity at mid-on, but because of the tumbling save that was required, there was plenty of time for Siver to get through. 278 for 5.
I think it was the time before last when you were on, Henry. You said to me, how many runs has Nat Siver scored since she was last out?
Yes.
Well, that's now 250. To go with 148 unbeaten in the World Cup final.
Cap bowling to Davison Richards, who's on 75 now. Keeps a little bit low. It's jammed out towards Wolfhard at backward point. And no run is taken. She plays endlessly with a smile on her face, Alice Davison Richards. She looks like she's having the time of her life.
She does, absolutely, and it's really nice to see people enjoying their cricket. See, loving being out there, loving batting with somebody like Nat Siver. It makes batting look very easy. She's had the best seat in the house to watch that Nat Siver 100.
Here goes Cap once again. This is nicely defended by Davison Richards, who's looked utterly solid in defence. So we say goodbye to Georgia. And we welcome to the commentary box Anya Shrubsole, once again, World Cup winner with England in 2017 and 2009. Ashes winner as well. What have you made of this innings from Nat Siver? You were playing the last game that Phil was talking about, that World Cup final.
Yeah, and I was responsible for her probably not getting any more runs. I was the last one out. Her tally could have been much more. It's been a brilliant innings from Nat, obviously given a tough chance, but given her life on 17, and the way she's batted under some pressure has been incredible, and fully deserves her maiden Test century.
De Klerk is going to bowl from the far end of the ground with the seagulls flying. And she charges in now. Siver works the ball behind square on the leg side. There's work for Malawa to do down to our left. And she'll pick up with a single taken, moving to 103.
This partnership has been incredible by Nat and by Alice. Just the way they've gone about it, the tempo, the way they've kind of accelerated as the partnership has gone on is what Test match batting is all about, and they've now got England into a really commanding position.
De Klerk bowls. There'll be a run then. Well, you know the answer because we can hear a no barked from the middle. And the score will remain on 279 for 5.
Yeah, and the partnership that Anya just mentioned, now to 158.
Because they were in a little bit of strife, England, when Amy Jones was out without scoring. At 121 for 5. De Klerk onto grey skies, running in towards us. Chased, nicely struck. Oh, beautiful shot. Really well played from Alice Davison Richards. Crisply walloped away to the deep backwards point boundary. That's a lovely shot.
She's been very fluent through the offside. As Alice today, she's cut well, she's punched well off the back foot, driven well when it's been out there, and it looks like on this pitch, if there's any width, I think Cap showed it in her innings, it's pretty easy to get through the offside.
De Klerk tosses the ball from one hand to the other. 2 slips and a gully waiting. In now. That's played defensively with a little shuffle into the leg side. England trail now just by 1. Both innings have sort of followed a similar pattern, Anya, where early wickets and a big partnership.
They have indeed, and this partnership has just extended a bit longer than any of the South African ones were able to do, and that's credit to these two batters, and in particular Davison Richards on a Test debut.
She waits now, looks up, sees De Klerk bowling. Again, it was wide. She says, oh no, she couldn't quite time it. And looks frustrated with herself. Would the word character, a bit of one, be fair for Alice Davison Richards?
Yeah, absolutely. She really is, and I think I've heard you comment on it quite a few times. She's always playing with a smile on her face. She's happy to have a bit of a laugh at herself when things go wrong, and wears a heart on her sleeve. You can see everything she's feeling.
Yeah, you can. Here comes de Klerk again. That's nicely punched towards wide mid-off. You have to be quick. The throw comes in from Cap, but it's a rather tame throw. And the scores are level. 2.84 for 5. A single to take Davis and Richards to 80 at the end of the 89th over. So in theory, we've got 11 more to be bowled today. And we can play up until 6:30. I wonder if we'll get that far, because the clouds do seem to be building. You know this part of the world better than I am, yeah? Don't look at me like that. I'm looking to you for meteorological guidance.
Well, the guidance that my weather apps, 3 of them I looked at, gave me. One said it was about to rain, and it was going to start raining in 2 minutes. That was 15 minutes ago. One of them said 6:15. One of them didn't really know what it wanted to do with itself. So, not sure whether you'd imagine the weather's kind of coming in from over the flats on our left-hand side, and it just looks how it's looked all day. It seemed like it could rain at any point, and hasn't yet. So I think England will be hoping they can get the rest of these overs in, and they'll be looking probably at the way these two are going at adding 40-50 runs here in these last 11 overs.
Tumi Sekakun is going to bowl. She's bowled 13 overs, none for 47 so far. That's quite a short figure. She bustles away from us now. Right arm over. It's well bowled, but obviously pushed away into the offside by Davis and Richards. And South Africa's energy, which was quite apparent when that 5th wicket fell, has been rather drained away from them. You just sort of sense if the rain came, they wouldn't be overly disappointed.
I think they'd quite like it to come, to be honest with you. I think, like I said, England will be looking to put 40-50 more runs on the board, and South Africa will be looking to get off if it rains.
Here comes Sekakune again. Forward in defence comes Davidson Richards.
I think Davidson Richards would also like to stay out there and hopefully knock off 100 if she can. Otherwise, she might be in for a bit of a restless night's sleep.
Yeah, a bit of... Jamie Overton had that the other night. Fell 3 runs short, having needed 11 on his Test match debut. He was on 89 not out and made 97. Davidson Richards on 80 with the scores level. It's pushed into the offside, not a run there. And the 28-year-old who played 1 ODI and 5 T20s, hasn't played international cricket since 2018. So he's had quite a long time out of this England side, whilst being quite a consistent performer in the domestic game. And really taken her opportunity here. Picked up a wicket in the first innings. He's got 80 not out with the bat. Sekakune runs in away from us. That's hit into the ground, and it's going to rush away. I fancy for 4 runs. It'll slow up a touch. There's an opportunity perhaps for the fielder, and the ball is saved by Laura Wolfhart, who had quite a lot of ground to make up, so it'll just be 2.
Brilliant, Buffy!
That should have been 4, really. It was hit well enough, and it beat the infield.
The outfield's been bizarre. Yesterday morning it seemed pretty slow and quickened up through the day, whereas today it seems to have started pretty quick and slowed down as the day's gone on. Day's gone on somehow, which baffles me, to be honest.
There's not been any
maybe the
rain.
outfield's tired as well.
Well, maybe. Here comes Sekakune bowling, flipped off the hips into the leg side, probably 2. There, fielder running round. No, is the call. Getting there quickly is Adine. Was that Bosch? It was Bosch. Annika Bosch. As England now takes the lead. They're ahead by 3, 287 for 5 here on Test Match Special and 5 Sports Extra. Radio 4 long wave and the BBC Sport website and app. Mid on and mid off are up. Will Siva be tempted to go down the ground? No, she's going to the leg side. There'll be probably 2 there because it's gone a little more swiftly towards the boundary, and the fielder at fine leg will have to run round to pick up. Siva picks that gap nicely, gets to keep the strike. No, in fact, she'll lose it because it's the end of the over. 90 have been bowled, 289 for 5. I'm going to make the point here, Anya. We started at 11 today. It is now 5:30. Why does it take the men's game an hour longer than this to bowl 90 overs?
I think traditionally they bowl more seam, especially in this country. They bowl a lot more seam. Would be one of the things. I think the length of their run-ups is that much longer. the way the England boys are batting at the moment, they seemingly opposition spend a lot of time getting the ball back. But I think it's to do with the seamers bowling more and with much longer run-ups.
Yeah, okay. Here comes Nadine de Klerk. And the far end, down the leg side it goes. Nothing on it from Davison Richards as a dot ball to start the over. That would have been wide in white ball cricket, but a little more forgiving with the red ball. Sine Lees, the South Africa captain, is standing, hands behind her back at first slip, contemplating what can be done to break this partnership. De Klerk, who opened the bowling way back this morning, is trundling in once more. Davison Richards, right-hander waiting, pushing off the back foot very correctly into the offside. And there is no run. Another dot is put down in Phil's notebook to our left. Do you keep them, Phil?
Yeah, they're all tucked away somewhere. Haven't seen them for a while, but they're definitely in a drawer, might be in a box in the loft, I think.
Might be eBay in a little while.
Well, yeah, keep your eyes out.
Women's World Cup final, presumably, would be a good one.
Yeah, must look for that one.
Here comes Nadine de Klerk. Rather cramping Davison Richards up for room. She pushes the ball up to mid-off. 2-8-9 for 5. 3 balls left in the 91st over of this innings.
I wonder whether there's anything different South Africa can try just to see if they can prize out a wicket here. It kind of feels like they're hoping for a mistake from the batters or a kind of a magic ball.
De Klerk rushing in once more, played up the track towards her, and there is no run.
Whether that be getting some of the catchers that are behind the wicket, in front of the wicket, and essentially bowling full with lots of fielders on the drive looking for a catch, or just some sort of different plan. They kind of look short of ideas. It's obviously got a new ball, but a couple of slips there that don't massively feel in the game. I mean, the ball probably go to slip now I've said that.
Here comes Nadine de Klerk, and this is driven up towards mid-off, and a single will be taken as England move to 290 for 5. 1 ball left of the over. That is something that you will learn in the commentary box, Anya, is that you do have a direct power. Despite they always say, it makes no odds, you do definitely have direct power from here. What goes? If you say someone's playing well, you can rest assured it'll be a false shot or a wicket almost imminently. Here comes Siva, waiting on 105, plays the ball crisply out towards wide enough, and Marizanne Kapp has given up the chase of that, and I'm not quite sure why, because she was well in the game, and for some reason just gave up. It's 4 runs at the end of the over, 294 for 5.
That was a piece of fielding from a very tired person, I think. It's hard to blame her with the amount that she batted yesterday and has bowled however many overs she's bowled today, but I'm not sure I'd be overly pumped if I was Nadine de Klerk with that piece of fielding.
No. Pumped was, it's, dare I say it was slightly in the manner of someone that's out walking their dog when a football rolls past them, and they can't quite be bothered to go and collect it for the person who's...
She probably could have dived. At least if she put in a dive, she wouldn't have had to run after it.
The key is, if you're gonna dodge the run,
dive
early.
Yeah.
And, sorry. So Kakuna is going to continue then, down below us with the floodlights on. Fast umpire Harris, full delivery, which is a good ball, swinging in towards Davison Richards. She digs it out into the leg side.
It just looks all very samey from South Africa, I think, and I think just doing something slightly different, having a slightly different plan, it just makes the batters think again. And like I said, it feels like they're waiting for a mistake from one of these English batters that may well come, but sometimes you've got to force that by doing things a little bit differently.
So Kakuna running in, dropping it a little shorter this time, pushed off the back foot towards backward point, and there is no run.
Yeah, Marizanne Kapp, 150 yesterday, as we know, 213 balls she faced. Today she's bowled 16 overs, and the way she's walking in now between balls is very... she's down here, look, just touching her toes. She's hardly striding in.
She can still reach her toes, that's a good effort.
It's more than some of us. Here comes Kakuna down the leg side. Not sure there's any bat involved on that, so it won't be another run towards the 100 for Davison Richards. I think it's probably leg buys indeed. Anna Harris raises the leg, taps it and tells us that. Siva will be on strike. 3 balls left of the over. I think she's had COVID 4 times.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I read.
Right. Wow.
She didn't play in Ireland. Has come over here and had a bit of a practice game.
In comes Sekakune, 2 slips waiting. Ball keeps very low as Siva jams down on it.
I always believe best when fresh though. Definitely when I bat my best is when I haven't batted for about 5 weeks.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
That innings you played at Auckland in the World Cup against New Zealand, you looked very relaxed, were you?
No. Bear in mind, I also knew I was going to retire, and if we lost that game, that was basically it for the World Cup.
Yeah, of course. Full delivery on the pads of Davidson Richards. And,
So I
should say.
So I had the pressure of the run chase, but I also, in the back of my head, was like, oh, if we lose this, that's it. And
Your destiny was in your own hands.
I know, but I'm not sure if I like that. I'd been in a similar situation against West Indies and got out. I just remember thinking, this is not how my career is going to end by getting out here. And normally I can't hit the ball where I hit that for. It all goes behind points, so I don't know what happened.
In comes Sekakune. To conclude the over, it's defended by Siva. Up the track, end of the over. England lead by 11, 295 for 5. Emily Windsor standing by to take up commentary. But I want you to describe the moment of, well, there was the key boundary through the covers and then the winning runs that were whacked through the leg side. And what was that moment like? Then Emily's going to join us.
I think there's plenty of photo. I probably celebrated that more than I celebrated any wicket or anything like that. It was. I remember feeling quite angry. I'm not really sure why. I think just because we ended up in that position. But yeah, just relief to get over the line and live to fight another day in the World Cup.
Anya, angry? That doesn't sound like you.
I know I was cross. We were cruising the game. You know how cross I get when I have to go and bat.
De Klerk in, and that's played in defence by Davidson Richards. See, you give it this, Anya. But then when you just walk out there, knock off a quick 50 like you did in a Vipers 50 over warm-up game, come off beaming, you pretended you hated it, but secretly you're now an all-rounder.
What I hated was the length of time I had to bat. I've got no objection with batting, but I've got a kind of a 5 over maximum.
You just want to tee off, basically. You can't have it always your way, Anya.
Absolutely. Who doesn't want to just tee off when they go in?
Just a slight delay as Davidson Richards asked Anna Harris to do her shoelace up. Floodlights are really taking effect and beaming down this evening as De Klerk into Davidson Richards, driven down the ground. Sweet shot. That beats Cap, and she's not going to bother chasing it. Hits the boundary board, and Davidson Richards moves to 88 off 162 balls. England 299 for 5 and lead by 15.
It's a great shot by Alice down the ground. She's driven whenever she's had the opportunity to drive the ball, particularly through the offside. She's driven the ball really well, and that's another example of that. And we're seeing with this second new ball what can happen when you've got batters in it. Actually, the slips come back in and it opens up gaps to score.
De Klerk from the river end to Davidson Richards, bowls in defence this time. De Klerk, full of energy still, does the fielding off her own bowling. The Seagulls have been here all day, Anya. They're enjoying the day's play. The school children, though, have left, end of school day, gone home, but some staggered fans in the crowd, clapping those landmarks, clapping the moment England took to the lead in this first innings. And they're 15 runs past it now. It's Davidson Richards. Faces up to De Klerk. That's driven down the ground. De Klerk does a great diving stop. Off her own bowling again. Another dot ball. This has to be one of the most amount of balls Davidson Richards has faced as well. 164 balls, concentration. It's tiring.
It is tiring. It's tiring watching, so don't know how she must feel.
I hope you don't mean because of the quality of cricket. As De Klerk in, that's cut into the offside. No is the call from Davidson Richards. Or is it just our chat in the commentary box?
I'm quite an introverted person. I don't think I've ever spoken so much in a day that I have today. Did something this morning, some breakfasting this morning, an interview before play starts, and then an interview at lunch. quite honestly don't reckon I'll ever have spoken this much in my life, so I'm feeling it.
Fortunately, you've done so well, Anya. I feel like you're going to have many more days like this to come. As the Clerk into Davidson Richards, that's driven, that's beaten mid-wicket, so they come through for a single. Davidson Richards moves to 89, 300 up for England. 5 wickets down. What a 6th wicket partnership this has been. Siver and Davidson Richards will give it a fist pump. And they're 300 up, and this Taunton crowd applauds, getting behind these two. Do you think South Africa have used this second new ball well?
Not massively, no. I think they've not been able to consistently hold a length. I think it doesn't look like it's done a huge amount, and I think part of that probably is down to a bit of the tiredness of the bowlers. Obviously the batters are well in, and when batters are in, it always looks like the ball's doing a bit less. But they haven't looked particularly troubled, and they've been punished quite a bit with some boundary. I think the ball a bit wide and been hit through the offside quite a lot.
Sekakune from the pavilion end into Davidson Richards. That's cut sweetly through the covers. On the back foot, Davidson Richards. She gets another 4. She moves into the 90s. 93 now off 167. Lead by 20.
I hate people getting near milestones. It's one of my, I love it, but I hate it because I get so nervous. I'm so desperate for people, particularly with hundreds. I'm so desperate for people to get 100. It's
When you were in the 40s the other week, were you nervous out in the middle, Anya?
No, I was too tired to be nervous.
So it's just other people.
Other people.
Sekakune into Davidson Richards, driven down the ground, fielded well. And he's giving it a nervous grab of the knees. Sat next to me, she's making me nervous. But more importantly, these two have batted England into a very strong position in this test match. Lead by 20, 5 wickets in hand. What are their options here, Anya, in terms of do they push on to get a big total and a big lead? The Sekakune into Davidson Richards, full dug out, turned into the onside, will be no run. Or do they declare, get South Africa in and then bat again? What would you be thinking here?
I think they'll bat on this evening till the close of play as they have been doing, and I'd imagine if they can, they'll come out tomorrow and try and bat quite positively and get ahead of South Africa and try and bowl them out and give themselves not many to chase in the 4th innings.
Sekakune in bowls outside the off stump. That's a thick outside edge, but that's going to the boundary boards again. 4 more runs to Davidson Richards. She moves to 97. 308 for 5. Anya, I feel like you're going to pull out the headphones in a minute. You are making me nervous that we're going to go off air.
Quite possibly. If you lose me, it's because I've disconnected my headphones. This might be where I let myself down. I've had a good day. This could be where it all goes horribly wrong. Because I'm too nervous for ADR.
So the debutant, Alice Davidson Richards, finding herself on 97 not out. Sekakune comes in, bowls. That's in defence. Big stride. It's getting past that bat. She's played beautifully.
Just love a wide half volley here. Would be lovely. Through that cover gap that she's pierced so often.
She's nearly caught up with Nat Siver as well.
Oh, no, come on, Nat.
Not often you see players do that. Sekakune making her way at the top of her mark. In and bowls to Davidson Richards. That's come back in, played well on the back foot. That's the end of the over. 94 overs gone. 308 for 5. And Anya is going to have to leave us. she's too stressed and she's taken a break. We'll of course be joined by World Cup winning Alex Hartley.
Well, and you can go out there and relax.
Relax, I'm not sure there'll be much relaxing.
Now it's my turn.
Like, don't pull out the headphones and don't disconnect us, because I'm traumatised still from that event down at Hove.
I'm glad everyone's forgotten about that.
I haven't.
Anytime something goes wrong, I get blamed. DRS went down at Headingley and apparently it was my fault, but it wasn't. I had not pressed any buttons.
So Nat Siver will be facing Bosch, who's actually impressed me so far in this test match. I think she's bowled tiredly, created wicket-taking opportunities.
Yeah, she's bowled really well. She's been impressive. I think there's been a few loose deliveries from the Saffers.
3 for 46 off 12, her figures so far. One slip, a gully in place, but it'll be Nat Siver to face as she bowls. That's turned into the leg side. Mid-wicket does the fielding, will be no run. 94.1 overs gone. England lead by 24. Anya's giving us the look.
It's quite dark. It is dark out there. It's very dark. And you can see that lights have taken full effect yet again. So maybe this ball will start doing a little bit more.
There's Bosch from the river end. Comes into Nat Siver bowls. That's down the leg side. Taken. They're appealing. Sue Redfern saying not out. Off the pad.
Off the pad. Off the pad that Nat Siver just looks and says, I've not hit that.
I feel for Nat Siver as well. For her, at the non-striker end, obviously an experienced cricketer, you feel it, don't you? You want your teammate to get to that landmark. She'll almost be just as nervous at this point.
Well, the way Davidson Richards celebrated Nat Siver's 100 as well, it just shows how much of a good teammate she is.
There's Bosch coming in to Siver. That's driven down the ground. She hasn't quite got hold of it, and the fielder comes round at mid-on, but it'll be a single. Davidson Richards eagerly looking to come back for 2, but she's going to have to take the strike. Lead by 25. Siver on 110 off 197 deliveries. And the debutant, Davidson Richards, on strike. 97 off 172 deliveries. A slip, a gully in place, and a ring on the offside as Bosch bowls, and that's driven. Has that split the field? Yes, it has! Davidson Richards, bat in the air, test debutant, and a maiden test 100. Driven through the covers, she has played phenomenally. 101, not out. A big hug there from Nat Siver. Raise your bat, Alice Davidson Richards.
Well, Davidson Richards, take a bow. That is absolutely phenomenal. 100 on test debut. England were in so much trouble when she came to the crease. She absorbed all that pressure. She took her time. She deserves every single one of those runs, and nobody will wipe that smile off her face.
173 balls. She brought up 100 with her 17th 4. She's the 3rd English woman to score a century on test debut.
Now she's got to refocus as Bosch comes back in. And that's in defence, solid from Davidson Richards. What a moment for her though.
Very, very special from Davidson Richards. You can still see she's faced a dot ball and she's still trying not to smile. Rightly so. She should be incredibly proud of herself. It's a very special knock to get England out of a lot of trouble.
Certainly has, and I think the thing that's impressed me the most with Davidson Richards is her technique. She's been just as assured in defence as on the attack as Bosch in, and that's on the leg side, played down to fine leg. Could be a single. She moves to 102. England lead by 30.
And also worth mentioning, this partnership now worth up to 193.
They've done so well, these two. Davidson Richards, no matter which team she's playing in, she constantly brings a bundle of energy. She's got a smile on her face. It probably came out of nowhere for her, this test call-up as well. She's played a little bit for the England Academy. She went over to Australia, didn't play a massive role out there, got called up and played for England in a warm-up game, or a sort of warm-up game against the Academy last week, and they saw something. As we said, that Georgia Elwys role, that Catherine Brunt role, even being able to bowl seamers and then bat at 7. And she's been so impressive.
Still can't get the smile off her face as she faces up to Sekakune, and that's on her pads, turned into the onside. They're running the first one hard. They get a couple here. She moves to 104. And the bit that for me is when you reach these landmarks, how much the dressing room enjoys that moment, and that just shows you what a group England have at the moment. celebrating each other's successes. But she, as you said earlier, she really is that team player, isn't she?
She is. She calls everybody a good egg, a geg, or a great egg. And she is a good egg. She's somebody you want in your team.
Sekakune in bowls outside the off stump. Knows the call from Davidson Richards. Fielded in the covers. And they really have brought England out of a tough situation, the partnership. But she's nearly caught up with Nat Siver.
Yeah, it's been a special knock. Been a really, really impressive knock. Just the way she's been able to find the boundaries through the covers. Just hit the bad ball for 4.
Sekakune in and in defence. No run. I'm just thinking actually in the domestic game, Alex, her technique for me has been so assured, and one of the best techniques that I think our domestic cricketers have.
Wasn't listening, I was talking to Anya.
I knew you weren't. I did try to long it out so that you might come back to me, but it's fine, I'm boring. I get it.
We're talking about Test hundreds on debut.
Sekakune in bowls, and that's a thick inside edge, and she'll pick up a single. She moves to 105. England lead by 33.
Sorry, Emily.
I was just saying about how her technique for me today particularly, but I've obviously played against her, but just look, is one of the best in the country.
Oh yeah, definitely. She's been fantastic. And even just how she's just saying there, that was just angled in. She's communicating with Nat Siver. She's always one of the players that I found really difficult to bowl at as a left arm spinner. She moves her feet, she comes down to the pitch of the ball and tries to play straight. Strong shots down the ground.
Sekakune into Siver, that's pulled away into the leg side, dropped slightly short. Siver picks up a single, she moves to 111 off 198 deliveries. Lead by 34 England in this first innings. Where's the result coming from? How do England play it tactically now?
Well, I was just thinking that South Africa really want to bowl England out today if possible. Give themselves a chance to bat tomorrow and then try and bowl England out. England, keep piling on the runs. See if you can bowl South Africa out, not having to chase many on day 4.
Sekakune in, driven by Davidson Richards, and just be a single. So that's 96 overs gone. England lead by 35, 319 for 5. Davidson Richards, 106 not out. Siver, 111 not out. The commentary will continue on 5 Sports Extra via the BBC Sport website and app, but for listeners on Radio 4 and medium long wave, you are leaving us briefly for the shipping forecast.
Oh, what a treat doing the shipping forecast.
That's a big moment.
Do you feel good?
I was actually nervous because she prepped me for that. And
oh, jealous. Can I do the next one? I'll welcome them back.
So, Davidson Richards, 17 fours. What a moment.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable from Alice Davidson Richards. That smile on her face says it all.
Bosch comes in and bowls in defence again from Davidson Richards. Be no run. Back to the result. How are we getting it? How are England playing it from here?
Yeah, I think pile on the runs and try and bowl South Africa out and then not have many to chase on day 4.
So in terms of time-wise, looking at the game, if England are to keep batting, these two keep going along nicely tomorrow, where will England look to declare if that is an option?
Maybe lunch.
There's Bosch into Davidson Richards outside the off stump. That's moved away. And Davidson Richards taps herself on the head as she chased the wide ones. This is what we love about her, though, isn't it?
I love that. She's chased the wide one and then she's tapped herself on the head and she's like, no, 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 do not play that shot. We're not playing white ball cricket, it's red ball. I've got as long as I want. But she's still got that smile on her face.
We let her off after 182 deliveries and 106 runs. You're allowed a lapse in concentration every now and again. There's Bosch in bowls, outside the off-stump cut, out to the cover sweeper. Hit in the middle of Davidson Richards' bat again. She moves to 107. 320 for 5, lead by 36. Cloudy skies overhead. We're expecting rain that hasn't come. Just swirling around Taunton, you can see overhead, over in the hills, rain in the distance. I don't think it's coming our way. Fingers crossed we get a full day's play. There's Bosch in, and that's pulled by Nat Siver through mid-wicket. Mid-on is chasing after it. That is a good chase, and they come back for 2. And that is the 200 partnership between Alice Davidson-Richards and Nat Siver for the 6th wicket. Again, they find themselves shaking their hands, Siver and Davidson-Richards. What a
332 balls for that partnership. It's just the 5th time there's been a partnership of 200 or more for England in women's Test cricket, and it's just the 2nd time there's been a partnership of 200 or more for the 6th wicket in all women's Test cricket.
Bosch in, and Siver flicks that out to the fine leg sweeper for a single.
What's the record, Phil? What are we looking at? We any close to it?
For the all-time England wicket, 235 at the moment, so we're closing in nicely.
Closing in very nicely.
Currently at 202. Lead by 39. We heard earlier Owen Morgan retired from international cricket. A big moment for the white ball game. There's Bosch in, and that's in defence. That's here on their pad. She's going down leg side. Davidson-Richards just stands there in disbelief. They're talking about a review, but
it would be a waste, you feel. The bowler hardly appealed. It was more of a, please can we break this partnership?
That's the end of the over. 97 overs gone, 39 the lead. Siver on 114 not out. Davidson-Richards on 107. A few more thoughts from you, Alex Hartley, and it'll be over to Melissa Story.
Well, South Africa really need to try and pick up the energy levels out there. They're just walking between the overs now. Heads are down. How can they break this partnership? They've bowled both sides of the wickets. They've not really built any pressure after tea. It's new to them. They've not played Test cricket since 2014. 9 Test debutants for South Africa during this Test match. So you can't even turn really to experienced players. Marizanne Kapp's only played 1 other Test match.
Sekakune with the ball in hand from the pavilion end. That's full and driven down the ground. Can the fielder get there? They can. And they get through for a single. There's 3 overs left in today's play. So this will be a thrilling commentary stint.
Yes, it will.
Who knows what can happen in 3 overs?
So just see a replay of that LBW shout, and it's clipping the top of leg stump, so it would have been umpire's call.
Sekakune past the umpire. Full again, driven. This time to mid-off. No run taken by Davidson-Richards. And Sekakuna's pace just down a little bit across this day, but we've spoken about she's a relatively new and exciting player for South Africa. I think she was their emerging player of the year in 2019 and Malaba in 2020. So they have some exciting players, but who are inexperienced in this format. As she bowls, and that's past the outside edge of Davidson-Richards' bat. She was playing an extravagant drive, and she scolds herself, but with a smile.
She knows she's just got a few overs to get through to the end of the day. She played that shot and again said, "What are you doing, Al? Don't do that."
England leading by 40 runs at the moment, as Sekakune waits at the top of her mark, runs in, and bowls down the leg side. Good take from Jafta there, who's been in the hard graft today. She's been all over the place.
She has indeed. Just shows South Africa have bowled both sides of the wicket. Struggled to build the pressure after tea. England have ticked along really nicely.
Yeah, this game has ebbed and flowed, but definitely this evening session belongs to England. South Africa desperate to just break this partnership between these two at the crease. Sekakune bowls over pitched but driven straight to extra cover, who fields that ball, and the pure force of it sends de Klerk there lying sprawling on the ground with almost as if she'd been shot.
Nice to see she's got a smile on her face. Been a tough afternoon for South Africa. It's a lovely cover drive from Davidson-Richards.
The full force of that pushing her back in the field. Sekakune, what can she do? Bowls back of a length a bit more and just dropped into the offside by Davidson-Richards. No run taken, and that completes Sekakuna's 18th over. She's wicketless for 66 runs. It's been a difficult day for her. And England 324 for 5.
The lead of 40 now for England. I think it's been a good day of Test cricket. I do fear, with only 2 days left, we might struggle for a result. But hopefully England will try and enforce that, so they'll try and force a result.
I mean, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow morning? Whether are England going to come out and try and give it a bit of a bosh?
I'd like to think so. I would like to think so.
So you mentioned that lead of 40 already. You just feel as if they could push that up past the 100 mark, maybe a lead of 125, 150, and then have another go with the ball. Especially with rain in the air as Bosch is in. On the back foot is Siva, cutting out to extra cover for no run.
I think the forecast has got slightly better for tomorrow, but I'm not sure the rain is staying away.
Maybe it knows that there's a great test match happening in front of us.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? I don't mind it raining post-play.
Yeah, maybe an overnight storm would get it out the way. We don't mind. We'll sleep through it. As Bosch bowls, full, driven hard, and the bowler gets her hands to that. Davidson Richards at the non-striker's end had a dramatic reach to make sure she was inside her crease. It's the worst thing to be run out of the non-strikers. And at this point, when you're sat there at 107 not out, with your partner at 115 at the other end, the last thing you want is a run out. I think Heather Knight can vouch for that one. Bosch, the top of her mark, sways in, and that's a leg stump line ball flicked away on the leg side. Fielder at mid-on runs around to the boundary at deep mid-wicket to scoop that one up, and England get through for 2 runs. Siva moves on to 117. England 326 for 5.
We've seen Nat Siva play that shot a few times today. Just a flick off the pad into the leg side, past mid-wicket. Quite often she's hit it for 4, but a couple of times recently just clipped it for 2.
She wants to make sure there's a result in this game. Maybe she's been kind. As Bosch bowls, and that's slapped hard down the ground by Nat Siva. She went on the back foot and almost tennis shotted that down the ground. Maybe she's been watching Wimbledon, but that was hit hard, and they get through for a single. 327 for 5.
It was half stopped by Bosch. In her follow through, Nat Siva on the back foot just clubs it back down the ground, gets her finger on it. It wasn't close. If it was that going to hit the stumps, Alice Davidson Richards would have been run out at the non-striker's end.
In comes Bosch, bowls, full, driven, straight to mid-off. And Davidson Richards makes a very loud ow noise.
I think she said ow.
Maybe it hit the toe.
She said
you get the shudders up your arm.
She wanted to drive that down the ground and said, oh, ow. Just telling herself off, speaking to herself.
These shadows being cast across the pitch now from the floodlights, which are in full effect. The seagulls flying low over the players as Bosch in, that's short and wide, slapped away, but backward point does a good job there. They get a hand on it. There's a slight deflection, but it's not costly, and that completes the over for Bosch. England's lead of 43 now. They're 327 for 5. Is it 1 over remaining in the day?
I thought we could play till half past, or is that just if you don't get your overs in?
Yeah, 100 overs in the day, 99 gone, 1 to go, and it's just ticked past, well, it's 6 minutes past 6, so yeah, this will be the last over of the day.
Oh, lovely.
It's fantastic over rate in the women's game.
There's never really been a problem, the over rate in the women's game. Quite often get through them.
We've also been helped today by, there's been no DRS used. Has there been any? I don't think so.
I don't think
there's certainly not been sort of 2 every hour or whatever, has there? So we've gone straight through it, and that's why we're nearly done.
Sekakuna to bowl the final over of the day, and that swings in sharply, defended back to her by Nat Siva, who you'd like to think is probably going to try and take these final 5 balls rather than her partner at the other end.
Yeah, she'll just sit in now for these 5 balls. If you get a bad one, you might as well punish it and put it away. But these 2 have been brilliant for England. Built loads of pressure.
A few changes in the field there as mid-wicket comes in. fielders come in on the offside, all blowing warm air into their hands, and there seems to be a discussion between Bosch at mid-wicket and the umpire.
Yeah, she was putting a jumper on for the last over of the day, very, very slowly.
Maybe it got stuck on the hair. We're not sure, but we're getting going now. Sekakune in, bowls, and back of a length, nurdled into the onside. They should get a single comfortably here, and they do. That Siva moves on to 119. Fantastic day for her, great innings. And Alice Davison-Richards on strike. 4 balls remaining in the day. And England's lead by 44. We've had a few members of the crowd who have stayed in right till this final over.
It's cold out there as well. I've managed to sit out for a brief 20-minute spell here and there, but it's too cold for me.
That's impressive. You didn't come back with icicles all over your body. Sekakune bowls, full, driven back to her. That's a dot ball.
3 balls left, 228 for 5. These two just sit in for these 3 balls, and then tomorrow can come out and really capitalise on the platform that's been built.
It'll be interesting to see how they have a net session out in the middle in the cages before each start of play. As Sekakune bowls, again defended back to her by Davison-Richards. So whether we'll be able to watch them maybe playing a few more attacking shots than normal.
Definitely will. And Sophie Eccleston still to come in. She gives it a good old whack as well.
And the ultimate all-rounder, Kate Cross.
Yep, I'm sure we'll see a paddle from her at some stage.
Sekakune, 2 balls remaining in this final over. Bowls wide outside the off stump, slapped in the air, 2 points, and the wicket falls. Davison-Richards hangs her head back in absolute sadness. The crowd has gone silent. She had 2 balls to survive, and she slapped a short wide one straight to the hands of backward point, and she's met by Nat Siva, who's walking her off the pitch. She's absolutely distraught.
She puts a bat on her head. She can't believe what she's just done. She's hit a short, wide ball straight to Lizelle Lee at backward point. She'll be devastated with how she's just got out, but she should be incredibly proud to score 107 on Test debut in the manner that she did. England were in so much trouble. She got them out of that hole along with Nat Siva. She's got a smile back on her face. She's just realised, I've scored 100 on Test debut. She's been absolutely brilliant today.
She's been met by a warm round of applause from her teammates, from the crowd. Everyone's come out of the written media and commentary box to give her a standing ovation, and also to applaud this South African team who rather slowly walk off the pitch. It's been a tough day for them and a tough final session, but they'll be relieved to have taken that final wicket. England 328 for 6 at the end of today's play, and that lead of 44.
It's just such a shame she's got out in the manner that she has. She knows as well she only had 1 more ball after that one. But that's what happens. Sometimes you get tempted into that short wide one. She's been playing it well all day. She got a rank delivery and her eyes opened, and she tried to slap it through the covers, but hit it straight to backward point. But an incredible innings for Davison-Richards comes to an end, and England lead by 44. They're in a strong position going into tomorrow.
They are. And just to run you through today's play in the scorecard, what's happened, it's been England batting all day. Emma Lamb and Tammy Beaumont opening up. Emma Lamb was bowled by Bosch for 38. She'll be happy with that first Test innings. Tammy Beaumont, LBW to Bosch as well for 28. Heather Knight was run out the first ball in the afternoon session for 8 by Sekakune. Nat Siva, of course, came in at number 4 and remains unbeaten on 119 at the end of today's play. Sophia Dunkley edging to first slip for 18. She looked promising, but a slight lapse in judgment there from her. Amy Jones dismissed by the left arm spin of Malaba for a duck. And Alice Davison-Richards, the final wicket of the day, to fall 107 of 193 balls on debut.
Yep, the third Englishwoman to hit 100 on debut. That partnership in the end worth 207. As we mentioned before, it's the highest 6-wicket partnership for England and the second highest 6-wicket partnership in women's Test cricket history.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? It was really good. As we're going to see Henry Moran come back into the commentary box, and Anya Shrubsole's going to be alongside me as well.
Indeed. Hello, Alex. Hello, Anya. And what an interesting day it's been. And it's sort of followed a similar pattern to what we saw yesterday, with wickets tumbling early and then big partnerships and significant contributions rather changing things. But now England leading by 44 runs and still with 4 wickets in hand. Anya, it feels like now they're in a really dominant position where they can push on tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an outstanding partnership between Nat and Alice, and it's really put England in the box seat in this game. I imagine they'll want to come back tomorrow, try and push to 100, 150 ahead as quickly as they can and start bowling. The bit of weather around potentially tomorrow, they might want to try and do that as quickly as possible and then get into South Africa.
Alex, where do you see the game at this stage, with South Africa looking visibly quite tired at the back end of today?
They do. They look tired. They're all on the boundary with their legs up on the advertising boards, trying to flush the fluid out of their legs. I guess it was South Africa's day up until after tea, and then England came out and had that brilliant partnership, and England ended up winning that session, putting themselves into a strong position. My only fear is that the South Africans will be tired. They'll be really tired.
Marizanne Kapp failing to chase one to the boundary. She looked absolutely exhausted, and she is the leader of their bowling attack.
Yeah, absolutely, and might well be relied on to score a fair amount of runs again in the second innings. And I think I said it earlier on commentary, it's not necessarily just this test match, it's still got 3 ODIs and 3 T20s to play, and you look at someone like a Marizanne Kapp, she's at the moment, the form she's in is their key player, and this test match already looks like it's taken a huge amount out of her, will continue to do so, and that might have ramifications further down the line.
Alex, nobody likes to get out at the end of the day, but you will struggle to take the smile off Alice Davison-Richards' face.
That smile went briefly, I reckon, for 4 or 5 seconds, where she was like, what have I just done? We saw a few expansive shots just before she got out, and she kept telling herself, no, stop it, I'm playing till the end of the day. Her eyes just lit up, and she slapped one backward point, Lizelle Lee, but as soon as she started walking off, Nat Siver had a word, and that smile was back on her face. She has got the biggest smile in English cricket, and she deserves to keep that smile on her face. She's been brilliant.
And this is a game where all the debutants have contributed. We saw wickets yesterday for Lauren Bell and Izzy Wong. Decent start from Emma Lamb with the bat and that partnership with Tammy Beaumont early on today, and then the big 100 from Alice Davison-Richards. For England, that's a lovely position to be in, with all debutants succeeding.
Absolutely, you want them to get off to a good start, and that will just kind of breed confidence. As I said, it's a long summer for England, and you want people performing right at the start of that, and for all the debutants to come in, look like they're at home so quick as well, and it's just amazing to watch, and really excited as a fan to see them all do so well.
How long do you reckon England will try and push on tomorrow before forcing the issue for South Africa?
You look at who's still to bat, and you go, okay, well, we've got Eccleston, Cross, Wong, who can whack it. She got a 30 ball 90 earlier in the season, 33 balls it took her to get to 90, and then Lauren Bell. I think they've just got to bat. Eccleston will try and bat with Siver for a little bit of the morning, and then I think it's time for Siver, Eccleston and Wong to really try and get England up to that 100-150 lead.
And you sense if it is a demoralising session for South Africa, then it'll make batting very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. The more time you put into the legs when they're out in the field, it's then hard to come back. I'd imagine if there wasn't any weather around at all, they kind of wouldn't mind. I envisage maybe they'll try and bat to, I don't know, half an hour before lunch maybe, and then that gives them half an hour with the new ball before lunch, and if the weather allows it, kind of almost a second crack with a new ball after lunch. I think if I were in the England camp, that's what I'd be looking to do. And you think if they can bat for an hour and a half, they should be up to that kind of 100-150 lead, which puts them in a really strong position in the test.
Alex, looking out there, the South African players have moved from their legs all being on top of the advertising hoardings and now lying down in a group. It's not necessarily the scene of a group of players that look as if they are determined to get up straight away and keep playing.
Well, no, definitely not. They'll want a good feed tonight, a good night's rest. I mean, as a player, this is the worst bit, isn't it? You've had a whole day in the field, and then you've got to do group recovery. I mean, absolutely no thanks.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will be doing extra sprints this evening.
No,
possibly.
I don't think so. And I tell you what, if I'd been out there all day in that wind, I'd be saying, I'll do my recovery, but I will do my recovery upstairs in the warmth. Thank you very much.
My recovery is going to involve a sofa.
And maybe a jacuzzi.
Yeah, you got it, exactly. Right then, just before we say goodbye, it is going to be the sort of day that Alice Davidson-Richards and Nat Siver, who both have scored maiden test hundreds, will never forget. What should this mean to them? It's a test match. These are huge occasions.
It's not easy to score 100 in a test match. These things take hard work, and England had to ride that passage of play that was really quite tough before tea. Nat Siver is the best all-rounder in the world, and to get her maiden test century, you feel like if England were playing test cricket more regularly, she'd have got it a lot sooner, but she really does deserve that, and as does Alice Davidson-Richards.
Thank you very much indeed, both of you. Anya Shobsol and Catherine Cross. I keep doing this. Catherine Brunt were part of the interval earlier at lunchtime. You can listen to that podcast available on BBC Sounds on the Test Match Specials stream. Thank you to Anya, to Alex, to Georgia Elwis, Melissa Story, Emily Windsor, Stefan Schemmel, and of course Phil Long with all the numbers. It has been so much fun.
You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra.
More live sport. Pure live sport.
As Radio 5 Live brings you one event, Radio 5 Sports Extra brings you another.
Live and uninterrupted.
Listen using BBC Sounds, both app and online, smart speaker, digital radio and smart TV.
Including cricket, athletics, swimming, boxing, Formula 1, rugby league, rugby union, tennis, football. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport.
Hear the action on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sports Extra. Sports Extra. 5 Radio 5 Sports Extra.
You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra.
More live sport, pure live sport.
As Radio 5 Live brings you one event, Radio 5 Sports Extra brings you another.
Live and uninterrupted.
Listen using BBC Sounds, both app and online, smart speaker, digital radio and smart TV.
Including cricket, athletics, swimming, boxing, Formula 1, rugby league, rugby union, tennis, football. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport.
Hear the action on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sports Extra. Sports Extra. 5 Radio 5 Sports Extra.
You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra.
More live sport, pure live sport.
As Radio 5 Live brings you one event, Radio 5 Sports Extra brings you another.
Live and uninterrupted.
Listen using BBC Sounds, both app and online, smart speaker, digital radio and smart TV.
Including cricket, athletics, swimming, boxing, Formula 1, rugby league, rugby union, tennis, football. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport.
Hear the action on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sports Extra. Sports Extra. 5 Radio 5 Sports Extra.
You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra.
More live sport. Pure live sport.
As Radio 5 Live brings you one event, Radio 5 Sports Extra brings you another.
Live and uninterrupted.
Listen using BBC Sounds, both app and online, smart speaker, digital radio and smart TV.
Including cricket, athletics, swimming, boxing, Formula 1, rugby league, rugby union, tennis, football. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport.
Hear the action on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Sports Extra. Sports Extra. 5 Radio 5 Sports Extra.
You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra.
More live sport, pure live sport.
As Radio 5 Live brings you one event, Radio 5 Sports Extra brings you another.
Live and uninterrupted.
Listen using BBC Sounds, both app and online, smart speaker, digital radio and smart TV.
Including cricket, athletics, swimming, boxing, Formula 1, rugby league, rugby union, tennis, football. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live for full listings. More live sport, pure live sport.
Hear the action on